Okay, so get this. Have you ever thought about why that jingle for Cheesy Puffs gets stuck in your head?
Like an earworm you just can't shake.
Right. Or why you just have to have the newest phone even though yours works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
We're about to find out. Today we're diving deep into consumer behavior for dummies to
Hey.
decode what makes us click that buy button.
It's like peeking behind the curtain of why we buy what we buy. Instead of illusions, it's psychology, you
Oh,
know?
right. It's not just about the product, it's the whole journey.
Oh,
Right.
totally.
Like the book says, there are 5 phases, and businesses are totally aware of them, trying to, influence us at every step. So, first up, need recognition.
Need recognition.
Seems pretty basic. You need new headphones, you go, you buy them.
Well, you'd think so, but think about those late night infomercials, for those miracle mops.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly, your floors are just not clean enough. You need that mop.
They make you think you need it, yeah.
They're tapping into those sometimes hidden needs we don't even realize we have.
So true. And once we know we need something, it's on to the information search, like a bloodhound sniffing out a deal, right?
Exactly.
We're on Google, checking reviews, asking friends.
And businesses know this.
Yeah.
They're battling it out to grab your attention.
Oh, absolutely.
Targeted ads on your social media, they're in your head. They might even sponsor a blog post praising their products.
Wow. It's a marketing showdown out there.
It really is.
So let's say you've navigated that maze of information. Now it's time to evaluate those options. That agonizing moment you're comparing prices, maybe debating between 2 pairs of shoes.
This is where branding comes into play.
Okay, how so?
Well, think about it. Are you always choosing the cheapest option? Or the one that has, every single bell and whistle?
Not always.
Exactly. We're often swayed by things like brand perception or how sleek a design is.
Yeah, totally.
Even just the feeling we get, picturing ourselves using that product.
Okay. So you've weighed those options, fought off that decision fatigue, and you're finally at the purchase phase.
The thrill of victory.
Right. But wait, it doesn't end there. Enter buyer's remorse.
Oh, the dreaded cognitive dissonance.
It's like that nagging feeling of, did I really need this?
Or could I have found this cheaper somewhere else?
Yes. And companies are onto this, right?
Big time. They pull out the big guns after the purchase.
So are we talking like those "you're gonna love it"
Yes.
emails?
Or even just a follow-up call to check you're completely satisfied.
It's true.
They're trying to validate your decision.
Yeah.
Make you feel good about spending all that money.
And a little reassurance never hurts.
Never hurts.
Mm.
But it's not just strategic hand-holding here. There's a lot of psychology behind why we're drawn to certain products in the first place.
Right, like that must-have-it feeling. It's not always about need, is it? What about those impulse buys? Or that feeling of wanting what everyone else has?
It's all deeply rooted in our human psyche. We're motivated by a fascinating mix of needs and desires. Think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It suggests we're driven by this pyramid of needs, right? Starting with the basics.
Yeah.
Food, shelter. But then it moves up to more complex desires, things like social belonging, esteem, even self-actualization.
So when that luxury car commercial shows people looking all successful and glamorous, they're playing to that desire for status.
Precisely. They're selling a feeling, success, belonging, all wrapped up in a shiny new car. Or how about those limited edition products or exclusive memberships?
Oh, yeah.
They tap into that desire for, uniqueness, for scarcity. Makes us feel special, like we're part of some exclusive club.
It's like they've got us figured out from those basic needs all the way up to, like you said, more complex desires.
Yeah.
But it's not just our internal wiring, right? It's also how we perceive things. Like, have you ever bought something just because the packaging was cool?
Oh, all the time. It's
Yeah.
the power of perception. We don't experience products in a vacuum. It's our past experiences, what we believe, even our mood at that moment.
That makes sense.
It all colors how we see things and ultimately what we decide to buy.
And Consumer Behavior for Dummies talks about how businesses use our senses to play on those perceptions.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Think about the smell of, freshly baked bread when you walk past a bakery.
It's irresistible.
It is. Or how about the sound of a potato chip bag?
Okay, yeah.
The sleek design of a sports car. That refreshing smell of a cleaning product.
You're right. You're right.
They're not accidental, those sensory cues.
Yeah.
It's all carefully crafted to make us feel a certain way. Enhance the product's value in our minds. They're even using things like, get this, the absolute threshold against us.
The what now?
It sounds complicated, but it's pretty straightforward. The absolute threshold is basically the minimum level of, stimulation that we need to notice it.
Like how quiet can a sound be before you can't hear it?
Exactly. Or how much can a company change a recipe before you, the consumer, notice?
That's a good point. So how does that tie into consumer behavior?
Imagine this. A company makes the packaging for your favorite product a tiny bit smaller, hoping you won't notice.
Sneak.
If the change is below your absolute threshold, you might be getting less product, but you're paying the same price.
And you'd never know. It makes you realize how much they're influencing us without us even knowing.
Exactly. But it's not always about tricking us. They can use this knowledge for good, too, like making healthier products more appealing, or designing eco-friendly packaging that still looks great.
Okay, that does make me feel a little better about it.
Yeah,
But there's another layer to this, right? Like how our friends and family, even those influencers we follow online, play a part in what we buy.
you're spot on. It's social influence, one of the most powerful forces in consumer behavior. We're social creatures. We want to belong, be accepted.
And the book called these reference groups, like if all my friends are talking about a new clothing brand, I'm way more likely to check it out.
Exactly. It's an unspoken endorsement from people we trust. Businesses know this. That's why they love social proof in their marketing.
So we're talking about influencer collabs, customer reviews.
Yes. Or even those 9 out of 10 dentists recommend claims.
Yeah. Or like those trending now sections, or the you might also like algorithms.
All tapping into that fear of missing out.
Wow, they've really thought of everything. It's like a game of chess, and we're the pawns. Makes you wonder, with all this influence, are we ever really making our own choices? Or are we just, playing into their hands?
That's the question, isn't it? And it brings us to like a really important thing consumer behavior for dummies talks about. Market research.
Hmm.
It's how businesses figure out what we want.
So it's not just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Not anymore. They're doing their homework, trust me. They use surveys, those focus groups. They even track our online activity.
It's a little Big Brother-ish, isn't it?
A little bit.
Uh-huh.
But it gives them data. They want to know what makes us tick.
Okay, so it's like spying with a purpose, but what are they looking for with all this data?
They want to build that like super detailed picture of their ideal customer.
Right.
So they're looking at demographics, age, gender, how much money you make, but also psychographics.
Psychographics, that sounds intense.
It's basically your lifestyle, your values, what you want out of life. They're not just seeing who you are, but WHY you buy things.
Okay, that makes sense. So they can create those eerily accurate ads that follow you around online.
Exactly. Right message, right time, right person. That's the name of the game. It's all about, segmenting the market.
Segmenting the market seems kind of like slicing up a pie.
It is. Imagine you're selling like really expensive sneakers. You're not going to market those the same way to teenagers and, say, retirees, right?
Definitely not.
So they divide everyone up into these smaller groups. People with shared characteristics makes their marketing way more effective.
Like a puzzle, and they're trying to find the right pieces.
Exactly. Speaking of puzzles, let's talk about new products.
Okay.
Getting people to try something new, that's tough.
So true. Think about how many products just like flop.
Right.
Only a few really become, household names. What makes the difference?
Consumer behavior for dummies
Yeah.
actually breaks it down. 5 key factors.
Mm-hmm.
One is relative advantage. Is it better than what's already out there?
That's fair. If it doesn't solve a problem or make my life easier, why bother?
Exactly. Then there's compatibility. Does it fit with my life, my values?
Like an eco-friendly cleaning product might work for someone who's like really into sustainability.
Right. But someone else might not care about that as much. And what about those products that are like super complicated?
Ugh, yes. Like you need an engineering degree to figure it out.
That's complexity,
Mm-hmm.
or rather, the lack of it. We want things that are easy to use, intuitive.
Totally. Then there's that whole trying something new thing. I'm way more likely to buy something if I can, like try it first.
Trialability. Exactly. Being able to test it out reduces the risk.
Makes sense.
Free samples, trial periods, even just seeing a demo online, it all helps.
And okay, if I see something's working for other people, like amazing before and after pictures, I'm sold.
Observability. If you can see the benefits, it's more persuasive.
This is all so fascinating.
It really is.
It's like these simple acts of buying things, there's so much behind them.
It's a dance. Businesses want us to buy, but we, the consumers, have to respond. And it's always changing.
Always evolving. So how do businesses keep up?
They have to stay ahead of the curve. They need to know not just what we want now, but what we'll want tomorrow.
Trying to predict the future of our desires.
Exactly. And consumer behavior for dummies talks about this too,
Yeah.
the different types of consumers. Not everyone is the same, right?
So there's like a whole timeline of who adopts new stuff and when.
Yeah.
Some people got to have the latest gadget. Others are like, I'm good with my flip phone.
Totally. The book breaks it down into 5 categories: innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and then the laggards, like a wave.
Okay, so paint me a picture. Who are these innovators? Are we talking like tech geniuses building robots in their garage?
They might be. But really, they're the ones who always have to have the newest, most cutting-edge stuff. First in line for the new iPhone, that's them. They take risks, try new things, and often influence, like everyone else.
So they're cool with spending a ton of money on something that might be outdated in like 6 months.
It's about being on the cutting edge. They want to experience it all first.
That makes sense. And then there are those friends we all have who always have the latest phone, the coolest gadgets, but they're not like inventing them.
Those are your early adopters. Still early, but a little more cautious.
You said so.
They're looking for cool stuff, sure, but it's got to be practical, too. It has
Yeah.
to, actually improve their lives. They're not just chasing the shiny new object.
They're the ones who do their research first, right? Like read the reviews, make sure it's worth the money.
Exactly. They want to be in the know, but not, tricked by marketing hype.
Okay, so we've got the risk takers, the trendsetters. Where does everyone else fit in?
Well, next up, you've got the early majority. They wait a bit, see how the product does in the real world, and then jump in once it's proven.
They're the ones reading those Amazon reviews, making sure it's as good as everyone says.
Yes. Value and dependability, that's what they want. They're not afraid of new tech or anything, but they're not going to be first in line.
And then there's that friend we all have still rocking the old flip phone. That's the late majority,
That's how
right?
you got it. More skeptical of new things. They might come around eventually, but it's more out of necessity.
Like when their old phone finally breaks, they're forced to upgrade.
Exactly. And then, at the very end of the spectrum, we have the laggards.
The ones still using typewriters.
Pretty much resistant to change, that's them.
Yeah.
They might adapt, but only when they absolutely have to.
So with such a diverse group of people, how do businesses even begin to, market to them all?
It's definitely a challenge. They have to tailor their message for each group, speak their language. What excites an innovator might totally turn off a laggard.
So no more one-size-fits-all marketing campaigns.
Not if you want to be successful.
Yeah.
It's about understanding what each group values, what their pain points are.
Wow. This deep dive into consumer behavior for dummies has been amazing. It's like demystified this whole world of marketing and why we buy what we do.
We've peeked behind the curtain.
Exactly. And instead of feeling like manipulated, I feel empowered,
You too.
Knowing all these tactics, it's like we can be more conscious consumers now.
Absolutely.
Well, listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive as much as we have. It's been a wild ride.
So many fascinating insights.
And remember, the next time you're tempted to buy something, take a second. Think about it.
Are you really buying it for you? Or are you just being, persuaded by some fancy marketing trick?
Knowledge is power, people.
Happy shopping.